So explain this Yukon River Challenge, if you could, for me. So is this this was out in Canada, by the sounds of it, and you were attempting to swim the longest uninterrupted. So we obviously have the GB swim that we'll get onto, but this one was just, you're not stopping off on the land. There's nothing. It's just constant.
Yeah.
No sleep.
No sleep. Yeah. I had this fascination after the GB swim. So the GB swim was the world's longest stage sea swim. That's the term, where it just means that you swim, you stop, you make that waypoint, and you make sure you continue from that point. You just keep doing that till you get all the way around Great Britain. Whereas I had this fascination with a non-stop swim where, you can't touch land, no one can touch you, you can't sleep, you just go.
Wow, you sack off the checkpoints and everything.
Exactly, yeah.
Constant.
I mean, there's just a boat, they just throw bananas overboard, you eat, and then you just keep going.
Sorry, in terms of that nutrition and being able to eat that, is that how it was done? So they would just chuck food at you in there, and would you stop? Would you swim while you eat? How did that part work?
Yeah, it was interesting because at first, a lot of Energels, a lot of like just electrolytes with carb gels and drinks and stuff. That was really nice. But on the second night specifically, it got really weird because hypothermia just started creeping. It was 8 degrees when we started the swim. It got a little bit warmer. I think we got up to 10. But just hypothermia just like seeping in. And we were just talking about Loch Ness, knowing all the signs for hypothermia where your body can't produce enough heat anymore. You no longer sort of start shaking from your extremities, but it's in your core. Like you actually feel yourself. And when that starts to happen, it's certainly in Loch Ness, I thought everything was going well after 53 hours. And then it just went dark. And then I remember waking up in the hospital with my mum, girlfriend and brothers at the end of the bed. And I was like, it's not gone well, has it? And they were like, nah.
So you attempted this the first time in
Loch Ness, yeah.
And what was the time that you were, was there a target time that you were after here?
No, just distance, but we're in there for 53 hours. And that was cellulitis that mainly stopped that one, which is basically an infection of the skin. And if it gets in your lymph nodes, it can be fatal. Whereas everything in the Yukon, we'd learned so much from that. So it got really interesting that when hypothermia started setting in, you're basically faced with like a real dilemma, which was we were making the porridge oats so hot that you knew it would basically burn and scald your throat all the way down, but at least it would heat you up from the inside out. So it's really weird that when you're on like the sort of boundaries of common sense and hypothermia, you just throw out just any feeling of kind of self-preservation and you are just
full survival instinct.
Yeah.
So is that what you did then? You had like boiling hot porridge.
Yeah.
Wow. During the thing, and you knew, and you could feel it burning on its way down.
Yeah, you see it. It was burning your hand. You were chugging it, but it was so weird. I was like, I've made a deal with myself that I'm not going to stop. So the only way you continue is downing scalding hot porridge oats to stave off hypothermia.
Oh my god!
And so what was the?
I can't imagine that.
You say there like there was no option to stop per se. So when were you going to stop? What was going to be your marker to go right? That's it.
Yeah, it's really weird. So basically, certainly with my friends and family, a little bit of a backstory. You have something called the central governor theory or the psychobiological model of fatigue, and all that means is if we went for a run right now, I said, let's go and run a marathon. When you're 18 miles in, all of a sudden what happens is the brain is a hypochondriac and it starts picking up all of these sort of biofeedback. They go, oh, hang on, wait, you're depleted of muscle glycogen, you're dehydrated, you're too hot, your heart rate's too high. Picks up all these signals and it gets you to pull the physiological handbrake. So what it's doing is just basically getting you to slow down or stop because like I said, it's a hypochondriac, it's self-preservation. And we'll all experience this. That's at 18 miles when you hit the wall. And then all of a sudden, 25 miles in, close to the end, family and friends are like, oh, hey, it's Chip, it's Cal. And then you goose step and you start sprinting to the end and go, hang on, you said you were done at 18 miles.
Yeah.
So that's central governor theory. They talk about it in the Navy SEALs when they say, when you are done, when you are absolutely on your ass, you're only actually at 40%. So it's the same thing, this idea of psychobiological model of fatigue. However, as we discovered in Tressamino and Loch Ness, and I sort of since spoke to people at Liverpool John Moores University, Loughborough University, they're like, Ross, listen to that handbrake. Because I kept on turning it off. So it was like hypothermia. I was like, no, keep going. And it was like, I'm depleted of muscle glycogen, keep going. My neck is chafing, it's cellulitis, keep going. But I don't say it proudly or in a macho way, but that put me in hospital twice. So knowing that, it was so important to outsource common sense. And my girlfriend, my brother, the doctors on the boat were amazing. One of my friends who's an Olympic swim coach, Chris, was amazing. And they were just constantly checking in with me because, and again, I don't say it in a proud macho way, but I think they knew I would swim just to keep putting myself in hospital.
Yeah.
So they were like,
just keep going.
Yeah. So they were like, we'll pull the plug, and you won't have a choice. We'll grab you so that the swim is over. So it was. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying that in a proud way. But
That's
fortunately,
so fascinating. And what was the indicator when you did that? So first of all, how long were you in the water for the Yukon thing?
56 hours.
56 hours, and is that the record?
Yeah, and it was the 510 kilometers.
510 kilometers.
I remember on the second one, the one in Italy, it was Italy, right?
That's right,
That you spoke about how you had to stay quite far from the land, but because of that, the board or the governing body around who was going to decide if you completed the record, they were like, we're going to draw the line as close to the islands, but you had to go further away. You had to do more.
Yeah.
But it
What
wasn't
is
counting
actually the
towards your goal, was it?
That's exactly
that was mental,
right.
by the way.
Yeah. It was basically just because there was obviously the rules with governing bodies, which you have to adhere to, but then there was also the rules of local authorities in Italy. So, and obviously the two didn't out. So yeah, we had to give it a wipe. So we were just swimming dog legs.
Yeah.
Which is hard to accept as you're swimming. But I think it's it's knowing that you're going to put yourself in a hole regardless of the conditions, and someone's going to be there. And also, I think this gets really interesting because Dr. Tom, an amazing friend of mine, the medic on it, and Chris, who's an Olympic swim coach, they knew that the point where you pull the plug has to be higher than normal. We're going to push the boundary. So when you are completely hallucinating, for instance, that's fine. You know, they're like, he's just hallucinating, but he's still coherent. Me and Chris, he was on the kayak and he just turned to me and was like, because he basically kayaked hundreds of miles as well. And he just turned to me and was like, Ross, can I be honest with you? I'm eating a banana. I'm turning to him. I was like, yeah, Chris, what's up? And he's like, mate, the 7 dwarves are just building a little log cabin over there. And I was like, oh, yeah.
So he was hallucinating.
Full on hallucinating. To this day, he swears the 7 dwarves were building a little hut.
So he's not even doing the swim.
Oh, no.
He's kayaking, which is obviously an achievement in itself, but like...
For sure, the whole team, we were all just tripping balls. And then it was the same as well. In Loch Ness, it was worse. I remember Loch Ness is obviously so narrow. And at night, you get the silhouette of the trees. And I remember looking up at this kind of like the tree line. And to this day, I swear, it was so weird. The tree line looked like the silhouette of the Titanic. And I'm swimming and it's like 2:00 in the morning. I've been swimming for like 48 hours. And I looked and I was like, that's weird. Why is there a cruise ship in Loch Ness? I was like, oh, but you know, that's like, and then I stopped and I went, they've come to see me. They've come to support me. So I'm eating a banana and I'm looking at the trees. And then as I'm looking up the trees, the branches are moving. And to this day, I swear, it looks like people are waving to me. So I'm eating my banana. I'm going, guys, thank you so much. I said,
no way.
I'm going, this means so much to me. I said, you know, we're doing this for ocean conservation. So, you know, any donations will be appreciated.
You've raised the Titanic back from the dead to watch you do this world record. That is brilliant.
And then the whole time my girlfriend is there with my brother and she's like, oh, he's chatting to a tree. I'm like, yeah, cool. Guys, I'm done. I'm going to finish the banana. God bless all of you. I'm going to finish up. Yeah, woo. And they were like, right, okay. So it was knowing that, my girlfriend's amazing. I've been with her 12 years. She's seen everything. So like when it's so interesting where some people on the team, the Canadian team out there were incredible and they are just hardy, immense Canadians. But they were like, oh, you know, he's tripping balls. And Esther, my girlfriend's like, no, he's not speaking to the Titanic. This is fine.
Yeah.